name is Abdul Rahman. I'm a lecturer at a public university in Kenya. I deliver lectures in computing and informatics. In our last lesson, we discussed about Java literals. And basically, we discussed about 5 types of Java literals. And these were the integer literal and the Boolean literal. We have character literal, we had string literal, and finally, we discussed about the floating point literal. Today, we are starting up onto another new session whereby we are going to talk about the Java separators. And we are going to ask ourselves what actually Java separators, and in that particular journey, we are going to discuss the definition of Java separator, the types of Java separator, and finally, we are going to go into our Eclipse and implement some of these type of separators. So let us start and see what actually it is all about separators. So separators, actually these are what you call special symbols which are actually recognized by a compiler for a group of code, either to divide them or arrange them into a block. So they are actually special symbols. These are actually special symbols, and these particular symbols actually recognized by what you call a compiler. So a compiler know that they actually exist, this type of symbols, and for what purpose? For purpose of actually dividing them or arranging them into a block. So they either divide or arrange into what you call a block. So that is what we mean by separators. And these actually separators, they are actually used in Java programming actually to support or to define the Java structure. And we have already discussed in this in our previous videos about the Java structure. And also these particular symbols, they are actually found in what we call the Java library. So their presence actually, they are registered into Java program. So that one actually takes us into the types of what you call types of separators. So let's see how many types of separator we have. So this is, if you say these are types of separators, so we'll have around 6 types of separators. So we'll have around 6 types of separators. So these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 type of separators. So let's see one by one. These separators, the first one are what we call the parentheses. The second type are what you call the braces. And sometimes you call them curly braces, opening and closing curly braces. And then we have what you call the brackets, and sometimes you call them the square brackets. And then we have what you call the semicolon, which are represented by the semicolon symbol. And then we have what you call the commas, which are represented by a comma. And finally, we have a period, and sometimes actually it's called a dot notation or a dot operator. So these actually, they are our 6 types of separators which are supported by Java. So let us see each one, what does it do. So when you're talking about actually the parentheses, they define, actually they use to define methods. So they use to define methods, and also they actually use to define precedence in an expression. And also they actually are used for what you call typecasting. They are used for typecasting, whereby if you want actually to use 2 or 3 types, you want to use a different data type, you have to typecast it. And also they are actually used in control structures. We are going to see how they are actually used in control statements, not control structure, actually control statement. We have got different type of control statements. We have got the loops, and we have got the control flow. And then we have what you call the braces or the curly braces. We have got the opening and the closing curly braces, and most of these particular curly braces actually they are used to define methods and classes, whereby they represent at the beginning the opening curly braces and the closing curly braces representing the end of a method or a class. Also, they can be used actually to define what we call the array initialization. So also they are used to define array initialization. And basically also they are actually used to define block of code. So they are also used to define a block of code. Then we come actually to the square bracket. Square bracket, mainly they are used to actually declare an array type. So these ones are used to define an array type. While semicolon, we've been using up since we started actually these particular sessions of Java programming, and they are actually basically used to terminate all statements. So statements, they're used for termination of statements. So all statement has to be terminated. And then commas. Commas basically they are used to separate consecutive variable declaration. So when we have so they are used to separate consecutive variable declaration. We have seen that. You are going to see how we are going to implement the same. And then a period or a dot operator. These ones, they are actually used to separate a method or a class. They used to separate a package from a class or a subclass. From a package or from a class. And also they can actually use to separate variables or methods from referring variable. So basically these are actually our 5 types: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are our 6 types of separators which are supported by Java. So let us go now to dev C++ and try to implement the same. So here we are going up to write a very simple program on the dev C++, on the Eclipse, basically maybe just to calculate the radius of a circle. So we are going to declare some variables here. So we are declaring up some variables of the data type double. So I'm declaring a variable called area, and then radius, and then I'm declaring up the radius. I've given it up some value, and maybe I'll give it up the value of 54.6, and then I'm declaring pi, which I'm giving also a value of 3.14. So here basically what I have done, I've used up commas. I've used up commas to what? I use up commas to separate my variables. So here we have number 5. They are used actually when you declare variables in a consecutive manner. So we have declared them on a consecutive manner, and we have used up commas to separate them. So the second part of it, we are saying now my area should be equal to, now I'm using up basically the parentheses, my parentheses. So here I say radius times radius, and basically here I say actually times pi. So basically times pi. So basically what I've done here, I've used in this particular one, I've used what you call parentheses. So I've used parentheses. I have used parentheses actually to do what? To separate my formula in that particular area. Now, after that, basically what I can do, I can just say system dot. Now I'm using up the dot operator, out dot println. So here print ln. Here what am I doing? Here basically I'm separating up the utility of system onto some method. So we have said that actually the dot operator is used to separate either a class or a sub what you call package, and that's what exactly we have done. So here you can say the area of a circle equals to, and then basically equals to, put up a space, and then basically I put up plus my area. So, and here I terminate. So here what am I using? I've used up the period, and I've used basically the the period and the semicolon. So basically it is actually the demonstration of using up a comma, parenthesis, a period, and a semicolon. So we have used some of them on this particular program. So let us run this particular program and see what it gives us. Actually it gives us the area of a circle. It is 9360.82 with all those particular decimal places. So that one comes to the end of this particular session, until on to our next session, whereby we are going to discuss the operators. However, don't forget to subscribe on to our next session, and for now I say bye.